Hey, how's it going? Ben Moorhan here, registered nurse. So I'm a test observer for Headmaster, and I want to go over a particular skill that I've noticed a lot of students making mistakes on. So missing steps. So be sure to comment on this video and let me know if you want additional videos. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so remember, if you open up your Safari browser and type in headmaster.com, you should see this page. If you click on this Michigan handbook, this is very effective. So I do want to emphasize a couple things because, sometimes you guys are kind of nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much to read. Be sure to look over this, right? So look at the table of contents here and just review all of the information so that way you are prepared. So this is for Michigan. And this is electronic. So if you click on this instructions for knowledge and skill test, this should help you out. So it has step-by-step instructions. So make sure you bring in your government ID. So there's some testing procedures. So a lot of helpful hints. So again, you will randomly have 3 or 4 of the tasks that you have to complete within 30 minutes. Your test observer will notify you, once 15 minutes have elapsed, and you're allowed 15 more minutes to complete all of the tasks. So that way you don't run out of time. Another important point here is you need to correctly perform all of the key steps in bold to pass. So if you just miss one of the bold key steps, you will fail. So that's why I'm making this video, because I don't want anyone to fail. I want you guys to pass. So an example is, let's say that you are ambulating a client. If you forget to lock the bed breaks to ensure resident safety, you will fail this skill. So make sure you complete that. And then the other verbiage here is, if you get 80% of the non-key steps right, you will pass. So if you, let's say that this has, 10 points here and you miss 2, you still pass. Okay, so make sure you review these and make sure you review what's bolded. Okay, so that way you will not automatically fail. All right, so for the recording form, this is really important. So a lot of candidates will incorrectly document the total fluid intake, and I do want to highlight that. So if this glass container, you have 2 glass containers, right? This one is 120 mLs and this is 240 mLs, right? So if this 120 is filled at 60, okay, which is halfway, so it has 60 of fluid, your resident takes 2 sips, right? And then it's half of that. So what you have left is 30 mLs, right? How much would you document for total fluid intake for this one? So for glass 1, right, you will document 30 mLs. For this 240 ml, if it's filled up to the top at 240 ml and the resident takes 2 sips and it's filled halfway, right? So it has half of the liquid, 120 mLs was consumed, 120 mLs was left. So for your glass 2, you will write in 120 mLs consumed. You have to document that, and then document your food percentage as well. So I did want to emphasize that. So this is the skill that you have to perform. So remember, this is bolded. So position the resident in an upright position, in bed 75 to 90 degrees. Okay. And then also, this is bolded as well. Your calculation must be within 25 percentage points of the RN's test observers, right? So if the resident, you document that the resident consumed 75% of their meal, right? And there's only 25% left on the table, and the RN documented, that's the resident consumed 50%, you are within 25 percentage, right? But if the RN documented 25 percentage was consumed and you documented 75, you're off. Okay, so you did not correctly perform this bullet point. And then again, for candidates, calculation must be within 30 mLs of the RN's observer. So if you document that 100 mLs was consumed, but the RN documented that 150 mLs was consumed, then you did not successfully pass. So that's why it is very important to make sure you know how much fluid is consumed. So a lot of candidates, because they're nervous, what they would do is they will say, well, this one has, 30 mLs left, right? And this one has 30 mLs left. So 30 plus 30 is 60 mLs. Well, that will be incorrect, because this is a 240 ml glass. And if this has 240 mLs, then what is 240 minus 30? And that is how much your resident consumed from this glass. And then you have to do the same for this glass. So I hope that makes sense with documentation. All right, if not, comment below and I will clarify any points. So I'm going to share this video real quick. So also comment if you want me to do any of these videos. When I looked on YouTube, there's so many videos, and I just don't think it's necessary for me to do the videos if they already exist. But I think it's very necessary to comment on these videos and let you know what I'm seeing, when it comes to candidates performing or missing a step, right, that can result in them failing the test. So that is something I don't want you to do. So I'm going to share this video. Okay, so this is feeding a client. So remember, all I do is go to YouTube, type in 2022 CNA feeding, and I'll get the most recent YouTube video that pops up. But just pay attention to what I'm saying, because I'm going by Headmaster's guidelines. Okay. All right, so it's very important to do your opening procedure. So explain the results to the resident, what you're doing. So you're opening the curtain, you're making sure the resident's comfortable. There's a name card, so make sure that the resident is the correct person by verifying their name and then looking at the diet, right? So there's the diet. There's the food. Okay, there's the fluid. So the fluid is going to be a different color. It's not going to be clear. So that way it can help you measure better. So you're going to get all your supplies. You have the hand wipe, which is important for the resident to wash their hands. And you bring it to the resident's bedside table. Okay, there's the introduction. She's explaining the procedure. She's doing a safety check, making sure the bed's locked, making sure the resident has the call light within reach, providing privacy. All right, so it's really important that the head of the bed is 75 degrees to 90 degrees. Okay, so all the way up. All right, and if you're not sure, at the at the side of the bed, there is a degree angle measurement. So you can definitely see where you're at. So if you're not sure if it's at 75 when you look at that, make sure you place it to 80, right? Or 85 or in between. So that way you will not fail this skill. All right, so residents comfortable. And then make sure you bring a barrier, so a towel to cover the resident. Okay, so she's having the resident state their name. You're going to sit down and make sure you're at eye level, maintaining respect. Okay, so as you can see, it's face to face. The resident has to wash their hands. So you'll wipe their hands clean, and then it's very important to make sure their hands are dry. All right, so you'll ask the resident if she would like a bite of what her options are. So general rule is you would give 2 to 3 bites and then offer a drink. So 2 to 3 bites, offer a drink. 2 to 3 bites, offer a drink. And then the test observer is going to alert you when the resident's finished. And I did want to say that you will be feeding a real person. So there will be an actor in bed. Okay, and then the resident will have a straw. So again, 2 to 3 bites, a drink, and then the instructor test observer will let you know if the resident is full. Okay, so you're gonna clean after you're done. So remember with this video, there is no barrier, but for headmaster, a barrier is required. So I'm gonna emphasize this. Make sure you put a towel, right? Put a towel, put some type of drape on the resident. So that way you pass this test. With this particular instructor, I'm not sure if she's following headmaster's rules because this is new to Michigan and just came out. So this instructor is doing a phenomenal job, but I'm just trying to tell you that headmaster requires a towel. Okay, so she removes everything, make sure the resident has the call bell. Okay, so you actually have to perform hand washing. Right. So I'm just going to share my screen here and we'll kind of go over the skills here. All right, let me share my screen. Excuse me. All right, so again, Michigan mock, feeding a dependent resident. So you're gonna go in, wash your hands, right? Use hand sanitizer. Make sure they are thoroughly dry. Explain the procedure to the resident. Ask resident to state name and verify their name to make sure it matches the diet card. Position the resident upright, so 75 to 90. If you're unsure of how that angle, for the angle degree, how it works on the side of the bed, be sure to place it to 85 in between, right? If you're like looking at it and you're like, oh, I think it's at 75, but it looks like it's at 70, just place it way above 75, right? So you'll be at 80. Another one is protect clothing by using a napkin, clothing protector, or towel. So again, wanted to emphasize that you need a towel. And then provide hand hygiene for the resident before feeding. Okay, before feeding. So the resident's going to, with a wet wipe, wash their hands. If you used a washcloth with soap and water, make sure you fully dry their hands in between the fingers. And then you'll sit in a chair facing the resident, just like the video. You'll describe the food and fluid, and then you'll offer each fluid frequently to the resident. Allow resident time to chew and swallow, and then wipe residents' hands and mouth after the feeding demonstration. So that's important as well, and fully dry the residents' hands and mouth after feeding demonstration. Remove either the towel or whatever clothing protector you placed. Leave the resident sitting upright in bed with the head of the bed and then set up to at least 45 degrees. So you can leave the resident as they are, right? So that way their food can digest. And then you'll record intake as a percentage, right, of the total solid food that was consumed. So make sure you're within the percentages. And then if you don't understand the percentages or the MLs, comment below and I will be sure to post other videos that will explain that as well. And then record the MLs. So remember, you want to record what was consumed. That's very important. And then make sure the resident has the call light and you will perform hand hygiene. Never verbalize. So never verbalize, I'm going to perform hand. You actually have to do it, right? Never verbalize, I'm going to provide privacy. You actually have to do it, right? So it is very important that you actually do it. Okay, because if you don't, it will not count. All right, so hopefully this video was helpful, and comment below if you passed and you were successful. I would love to hear that. That's why I'm doing this, is because I want you to succeed. Take care.